Yeah.
Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the August 1st Zoning Committee work session here at the Charlotte-Mecklenburg Government Center. My name is Douglas Welton, and I am the chairman of the Zoning Committee. This meeting is being streamed online via YouTube in accordance with all applicable meeting standards, statutes, etc. Requirements of notice, access, and minutes are being met electronically. Tonight, we are having a fun extra special meeting because we got to move and we're a little bit late getting started. We're in a different room. The rules generally apply. If you are making a motion or seconding a motion, please state your name so that people who are listening online can know who you are. And also, I would like everybody to be cognizant of the fact that because of the microphone situation tonight, we all have to keep the volume down a little bit and no inappropriate laughter. And I'm not looking at you, Commissioner Rowland. Public hearings for the zoning petitions that we're going to be hearing tonight have been held at a previous date in front of Charlotte City Council and the Zoning Committee. This meeting is not a continuation of those hearings, so there will be no public input unless the committee has a specific question, in which case the committee will suspend the session and ask the petitioner that question directly. And now we will get started with our introductions. And first we'll introduce the Zoning Committee, and I'll start to my right with Commissioner Russell.
Will Russell, Vice Chair, Planning.
Rebecca Wilden, Planning.
Rick Winokur, Planning Commission.
Shauna Neely, Planning Commission.
Terry Lansdale, Planning.
Clayton Sealy, Planning Commission.
And now we'll introduce the staff in the room, and we'll begin with Mr. Pettin.
Thank you, Dave Penn. Planning. Tripped up on the titles, but we'll just go with planning for right now.
God Emperor was not good enough.
Yeah, no, not tonight.
Michael Russell, planning staff.
Max Oliver, Planning Staff.
Emma Canarahas, Planning Staff.
Joe Mangum, Planning Staff.
Holly Kramer, Planning Staff. Anna Aliotti, Planning Staff.
And do we have folks online that are participating with us tonight?
Jay Carpenter, CDOT.
Drew Ritter, CDOT staff.
Travis Miller, CDOT.
Patrick Monroe, CDOT.
Is that everybody? Okay, that's everybody. It's exciting to have you all with us tonight. Now we will go through, Dave, if there are any deferrals or withdrawals that we need to approve, et cetera.
Sure, just the withdrawals or deferrals that are listed on the agenda this evening. Item 1, 2021-209 Coastal Acquisition Entity, 2022-099 Levine Properties, and 2022-109 Urban Trends Real Estate, all requesting deferral to our December 6th, 2023 meeting.
Do I have a motion on the disposition of these deferrals?
Lansdale.
So moved. Do I have a second?
Second, Wilden.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, those 3 hearings have been deferred, and we'll begin our business with item number 4. And the item number 4, before we get started on that one, Commissioner Russell has some information he'd like to share.
Yes, I would ask our commissioners to allow me to recuse.
All right, is there a motion that we accept Commissioner Russell's recusal?
Motion.
One of you want to second it?
Second.
Okay, Lansdale and Sealy moved in second. All those in favor, say aye. Any opposed? At this moment, we will usher Commissioner Russell out of the room. Don't rough him up too much, people. And he'll be back once this particular petition has been heard. And so now we can get started with the party on petition number, or item number 4 on our agenda, rezoning petition 2023-075 by the city of Charlotte. And Michael, I think that's you.
It is, thank you. 2023-075, this is approximately 4.33 acres located on the south side of Reagan Drive and west of Tom Hunter Road, east of West Sugar Creek. And there you can go to the existing zoning, which it's general commercial. To the south of it, a small sliver of N1B. The proposed zoning is neighborhood 2B. So the adopted place type from the 2040 policy map recommends commercial for this site. The plan is inconsistent with the 2040 policy map recommendation for the commercial place type. And staff does recommend approval. This is a conventional petition, so there is no site plans.
You done?
Thank you.
All right, is there any discussion on this petition? Commissioner Wilden?
Yes, so love it, but when I did a little bit more digging into this project, Louisa said that there was groundwater contamination within 1,500 feet, and I wasn't sure how can that be remedied?
That's usually something that will be looked at more in the permitting process. This sort of just information to the petitioner at this stage of rezoning to let them know that that's there to be aware of it. And then when they get into the permitting phase of it, they would address it then.
Are there any more questions from the commission? Commissioner Lansell?
Lansdale, this is just for maybe CDOT. Can you talk about the clarification in the paperwork here for the vehicle trip generation? It says existing use 0 trips per day based on the vacant land. Is there any reason why we didn't put the existing use trip generation on the document?
It has to be operational within the last year for them
You hear
to,
that, Terry?
So the hotel is not operational right now?
the land is considered vacant right now as far as I know.
Thank you very much for the clarification.
Can we get a little bit more volume from, no, we cannot. Okay, thank you. We'll ask all of you online just to speak up and use your big boy voices. Are there any other comments from the commission? Do I hear a motion about this petition?
This is Lansdale. Having reviewed the petition and considered the consistency statement prepared by staff to approve this petition, I move that we recommend the approval of petition number 2023-075 as it appears before us, and the adoption of the consistency statement as it appears before us.
Second,
It's been moved by Lansdale and seconded by Wilden. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That passes 6-0. If we'll ask Commissioner Seeley if he'll run out in the hall and grab Commissioner Russell and tell him he can come back in the room now. Go down an elevator down. All right, petition number 5, or item number 5 is rezoning petition 2021-221 by Paulette Kennedy. And Michael, I think you're up again.
I am. So this one, the current zoning is neighborhood 1B, the proposed zoning with institutional conditional. Neglected to say that it's approximately 5.110 acres located on the west side of Statesville Road, east of Millhaven Lane and south of Sunset Road. The adopted place type in the 2040 policy map recommends the neighborhood 1 place type for this site. The proposal allows for 15,000 square feet facility to provide day activities and habilitative programs for developmentally challenged individuals. It does limit the building height to 40 feet, provides an outdoor recreation area. It does provide a 24 Class C buffer to the adjacent single-family homes. They do commit to streetscape improvements along Statesville Road, including a 6-foot sidewalk and 8-foot planting strip, and dedicates 50 feet of right-of-way from the road center line. No real changes since the public hearing. Staff does recommend approval of this petition. It is inconsistent with the recommendation for the neighborhood one place type, but institutional uses are generally compatible with other residential uses and would provide a service to the surrounding communities. Let's take any questions.
Do you have any questions from the commission? Michael, I have one. This one, I think, is the first time we've gotten one that has a new place type, but because it's an old petition, we're still using the previous type of zoning, which is institutional. That won't translate anytime soon, correct? I'm just trying to get this in my head with, dates and things. So it's going to be institutional and it's a CD, so it's going to be institutional going forward.
Right.
As is. Okay, thank you. Does anybody else have any questions regarding this petition? Do I hear a motion in regard to the disposition of this petition?
Motion, Wilden, having reviewed the petition and considered the consistency statement prepared by staff to approve this petition, I move that we recommend approval of petition number 2021-221.
Do I hear a second?
Lansdale, second.
Good motion by Wilden and properly seconded by Lansdale. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That goes 7-0. And one note, I will note that we do have 4 brand new commissioners with us for the first time this evening, and I wanted to welcome Commissioner Wilden, Commissioner Neely, Commissioner Seeley, and Commissioner Winokur. All right, we're on to item number 6 on our agenda tonight, and that is, he said, flipping the page, rezoning petition number 2022-048 by Tribute Companies. And Michael, you are our man tonight.
Good. So this one, you've seen before. This is approximately 182.71 acres located along the south side of Interstate 485, south of Interchange, east of John Adams Road, and north of North Triumph. Sort of see the context there. So the current zoning is R3 single family, which is the N1A place type. The proposed zoning is MX2 or mixed use. So this is one of our legacy ones. The adopted place type from the policy map recommends neighborhood 1 for all of this acreage. So to get into the proposal, it's going to allow up to 1,950 units in any combination of single-family detached or attached and or multifamily residential units. It's broken down into several development areas. Development area P1 will be devoted to the park outdoor recreation uses part of this development. Development area S1 will be predominantly devoted to institutional, the proposed elementary school. In the other areas, A1, A2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7 shall be devoted to residential uses. Areas A21, A23, A4, 5, 6, 7 will contain lower density residential options such as single-family detached and or attached units and no multifamily stacked units. The multifamily stacked apartment units will be permitted in areas A1, A2, A3, and 4. They do provide a minimum of 16-acre publicly accessible park and or recreation area. It's generally depicted on the rezoning plan. They have a minimum of 9 acres of this area shall be dedicated and conveyed to the Mecklenburg County for a future park. It does provide a pedestrian-friendly focal point for neighborhood activity. So this neighborhood activity area may include temporary events such as food trucks, pop-up retail tents, seasonal neighborhood festivals, music, artwork, crafts, and other engagement activities. They do provide architectural standards, including materials. A TIS was required for this petition. So transportation improvements include on-site and off-site improvements, including providing turn lanes with additional storage, restriping pavement, additional lanes, installation of traffic signs, coordinated signal timing, and reconfiguring some intersections there. And there have been a few changes since the public hearing and the zoning committee meeting. They are allowing a minimum of 5,000 square feet and a maximum of 8,000 square feet of non-residential commercial neighborhood serving uses. The commercial non-residential uses will be limited to development areas B and C. They are providing a minimum of 3.5 acres within areas A through G. Will be designated for development of affordable housing. Location to be provided during the permitting phase of the development. This area will be restricted for households earning less than or equal to 80% of the area median income for a period of not less than 20 years. So staff does recommend approval of this petition. And you guys take any questions?
I have a question. Can we talk about, it also mentioned 5-year vested rights. Can you tell me more about that?
Yeah, just because of the size, 182 acres, this will be a phased over many years to get this built.
Okay.
So,
Just about the phase.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Commissioner Russell.
Commissioner Russell, I have a question. It looks like there's a trail system that's included on, this is drawing RZ number 2, RZ-2A. Who's responsible for building and maintaining that trail? Is that property, is that the developer or is that the county?
If they're not dedicating them to the county, then they would build them on their end and maintain them unless there's a county dedication easement. But if they're not dedicating any of those, they would be built by the development project as it goes through.
Okay, thank you. And then one more question. There's a potential bus shelter that's interior to the site. Do we know of that potential? Is going to be, again, same question, is that going to be provided by the developer or is that being provided by CAF?
that will be provided by the developer.
Yeah.
Just to that point, Commissioner Russell, I spoke with the petitioner yesterday about the bus site, and basically it's kind of a placeholder because there's not a bus route there at this moment.
Right.
So that would be something headed, it's a placeholder. Any other, Commissioner Whitaker?
Briefly, when I was looking at the August 24th, 2022 comments from Park and Rec, I'm just curious if, when in this process, if they do dedicate some of the land to be conveyed to the county, when they would do that process? In other words, after this proceeding and definitely included, or is that still up in the air?
So you're asking when the dedication of the park would occur?
Or not the dedication of the park, the transfer of the property to Mecklenburg County.
I don't know if they call that out here. The petitioner may have had conversations with them. They might be able to clarify that. I don't see it on any of the notes in the plan as far as, it has to be dedicated by a certain development threshold. But they may be able to clarify that. I believe we've got representatives for the petition here. If you want to suspend the rules and get that clarification.
If you'd like to spend a session, we can do that.
That's not necessary at this time.
Okay. All right. Any other questions? Commissioner Russell?
So I just want a point of clarification. There's a note in here about a minimum of 3.5 acres within areas A through G. Is that 3.5 acres total through A through G or in A through Z? So look, 15 acres.
Should be with it, should be throughout those three areas, so it'd be that 3.5 throughout those three development areas.
Oh, so
It's not in each.
It's not in each, it's a total.
It's a total across those three.
Okay.
And the park and rec dedication is, prior, at first CO.
Got what?
At first CO,
CO.
certificate of occupancy, yeah.
Anyone else? Mr. Seal?
I did have a question. Do we have someone from CATS on the line?
Don't
That's
believe we
standard
just
procedure.
We just have CDOT.
Because I am curious, the bus shelter comment, future plans for CATS is something that was really important for me. It's 1,950 units that could be moved by more than just automobiles. So it'd be wonderful to have CATS on in the future.
Thank you. Any others?
Lansdale.
Oh, Commissioner Lansdowne?
This is a challenge for me, and the depth of transportation suggestions that are required to make this property work. The challenge to me, I think if you, new commissioners won't recall this, but I think that I expressed my concerns over the placement of the school and the inadequacy of the transportation solutions getting ingress and egress out of the school into the property. I think it's at the S1 location, I think is right. You know, when we look at it and specifically with the minimum, with the language of minimum, I just lost it here, 8-foot wide planting strip and 8-foot wide sidewalk along the site's frontages of all public streets. And we'd love to be able to have, depending upon the school, a much broader footprint for non-vehicular access to that deep into the property. I've got some other issues associated with dual turn lanes on major thoroughfares, but that's not for here today, but we'll leave the recommendations of CDOT to stand, but hope that my vote doesn't go against this property is the main reason why, but there are some transportation issues that I still have concerns with. Thank you.
Thanks. Anyone else? I guess I will close it out. Michael? Is this property in the ETJ partially, and is there a voluntary annexation or anything mentioned in the notes?
Part of it is in the TJ.
Part of it in each year and all of it.
I've looked at two different things and they weren't the same. So, and you know, the city's growing maybe a little faster than the map makers, but.
It looks like there's a portion that's out of it. It's mainly the kind of top portion against the on-ramp.
Yeah, the top portion, that was what I
think we
thought.
did have an annexation request in for that a long time ago, before this rezoning came up, yeah.
I mean, they would need to go through the process, yeah, again,
Yeah,
of course.
And just a point of clarity for me, then if this comes up in the future, is if they put a voluntary annexation notion in the conditional notes, I guess, then they're bound by it, but they don't have to. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's correct. And I would imagine that being that the majority of the project is in the city limits and road construction is gonna be based off city standards, they would have to go through annexation because NCDOT is a whole different host of road
Okay.
cross sections.
All right, yeah, so that just makes it easier on them
Yeah,
in the end. All right, thank you. That's just a point of clarification for me. Are there any other questions from the commission?
No, I have a question, just a comment. I do want to echo some of what Commissioner Lansdale said. I do have a challenge with this one because it just seems to be very auto dependent. And I understand that on size, but you know, the whole point of what is trying to go on in the city and specifically University City is to try to make things more dense and more compact. I think we're just adding more of the traditional 90s suburban sprawl here. I do appreciate the thoughtfulness with connectivity and adding a trail. I think that's needed, and having some park space is definitely needed in that area, but this was giving me a little bit of pause just on what we have in front of us today.
If there are no other comments, do I hear a motion on the disposition of this particular petition?
Neely, I'll make the motion.
Okay,
Having reviewed the petition and considered the consistency statement prepared by staff to approve this petition, I move that we recommend approval of petition number 2022-048 as it appears before us, and the adoption of the consistency statement.
been moved by Neely. Do I hear a second?
Second, Seeley.
Second by Sealy. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
1, 2, 3. Those opposed?
No,
Nay.
Right.
That is 3-4 opposed. So do we have to do the opposite? Okay. That did not pass. So do I hear a different motion?
Lansdale, having reviewed the petition and considered the consistency statement prepared by staff as now this position, I move that we recommend denial of the petition number 2022-048 as it appears before us and the adoption of the consistency statement as it appears before us. The outstanding issues associated with transportation and school access is sufficient to service the parcel.
And we can add more to that consistency statement as we go.
Yep.
Do I hear a second on that motion?
Winiker, second.
Been moved by Lansdale and seconded by Winiker. All those in favor of the motion to deny the petition, say aye or raise a hand so I can look around and count. That's 4. Those who are on the opposite side of that, please say nay. And we've got 3 nays. So that passes the denial of that particular position. Did I say that correct?
Yes.
You guys keep me straight because you know I can wander, okay? Now, do we need to have some additional clarity for the consistency statement? And
Yeah,
we've got traffic issues.
Yep.
And I will speak for a little bit for Commissioner Russell here. The isolated proximity of the particular project gives pause in terms of building a connected city that has at least shorter trips, even if there aren't fewer, but shorter trips. Did I get that right? Just not if it's, okay. Do you guys need anything more, or anybody else want to add anything, Winiker?
The street section CC, this is Winiker, on the second page of the transportation impact analysis reflects a street that's not consistent with the way the kind of complete streets that we want to have in the city.
What he said. Anyone else want to add anything to that consistency statement? If not, we're going to go on to item 7. Whoops.
Minority.
Yep. What?
Minority.
Oh, minority, which is Commissioner Neely, Seeley, and Wilden. That sounds like a band from like the early 70s. But if you guys want to say something to support your position, please do.
I do want to say that I think that housing is important in Charlotte and something that is much needed. When I voted for it, I voted for that. I do see significant challenges with this site, however, especially from a transportation and a transit perspective. I think there are better ways to connect these parcels together so that people have better options, not just singular roads to get throughout it. I would like to see now that it has been denied, something, to actually remedy that. And I would love there to be someone from CATS here all the time, because I have so many questions about this potential bus shelter and it being actually serviced.
And I'm going to echo Commissioner Neely, going to echo Commissioner Seeley's statement regarding housing and the need for public benefit because of inadequacy of housing already available in our area.
I also appreciate the affordable housing component, the trail network. And in reviewing this petition, I noticed that the petitioners listened to the community comments. They requested quite a few things in terms of kind of like a retail type space, and that was included. And I look at petitions and I also look at public comments, and listen to them. And so I thought that this fit the bill for a petitioner actually listening to the community.
All right, is everybody good? Everybody on that side of the table good? Thank you very much, everybody. Now we're up to item number 7 on our agenda, rezoning petition number 2022-114 by Rohit Patel. Please, apologies if I have butchered a name. And Michael, because we love you, we get to hear from you again.
Yeah, so this is 2022-114. It's approximately 4.18 acres located on the northeast side of Ridge Road, south of Mallard Creek Road, and north of Interstate 5. The current zoning is neighborhood 1A. Proposed zoning is R8 MF CD, multifamily residential, conditional. The adopted post type from the 2020 policy map recommends neighborhood 1 for this site. In this proposal, allows up to 26 multifamily units on sublots. Commits to a 12-foot multi-use path along Ridge Road. Provides a 8-foot playing strip and 5-foot sidewalk along the public entrance drive. Provides a minimum of 400 square feet of open space unit and 4,802 square feet of common open space. They do provide a 26-foot Class C buffer to the adjacent single-family residential uses. They're providing a school bus shelter near the Ridge Road entrance, and they do provide architectural standards. No changes since the hearing. The petition is inconsistent with the 2040 policy map recommendation for neighborhood 1. However, staff does recommend approval of this petition. I'd say any questions.
Are there any questions from anybody on this particular petition?
Just a quick one for CDOT, this is Lansdale. Talk to me about the 5-foot sidewalk versus the 12-foot multi-use path. Is there some clarification on that, if that's possible?
Hopefully this volume or this big boy voice is loud enough for y'all there. But the MUP versus the 5-foot sidewalk, we have different standards for different roads. They're all laid out in the Charlotte's Streets map. So that's a local road going into the site that stubs into a private road. So typically you wouldn't find a MUP on a local road. So they're meeting the minimum standards that we require.
Thanks. Just to rephrase, I think you said that because of the street types, you have the differentiation between the mixed-use path requirement or necessity and the 5-foot sidewalk requirement based upon road type. Is that correct?
Pretty much, yes.
Thanks. Nothing else here.
All right, anybody else got any questions, issues? Hearing none, do I have a motion about the disposition of this petition, item number 7?
Lansdale, having reviewed the petition and considered the consistency statement prepared by staff to approve this petition, I move we recommend the approval of petition number 2022-114 as it appears before us, and the adoption of the consistency statement as it appears before us.
Do I have a second?
Neely, second.
Been motioned by Lansdale, seconded by Neely. All those in favor, say aye. Aye. Anybody opposed? None. That passes 7-0. We're on a roll, people. Item number 8 on our agenda tonight is rezoning petition number 2022-148 by Third and Urban LLC. And we get to hear from a different voice tonight. Joe Mangan.
Thank you. Yeah, give Michael a break.
Approximately 15 acres located within the block bounded by State Street, Gesco Street, Tuckasegee Road, and Berry Hill Road. Current zoning is ML2 and Mud O. Proposed zoning is IMU. The policy map recommends innovation mixed-use place type for the site. Is consistent and staff recommends approval. You have to take any questions.
Anybody have any questions or Commissioner Sealy?
Yes, so with the developer being the owner also of the adjacent property on Jesco, are there any plans to have additional roads from Thrift over to Jesco to add additional, capacity and connectivity?
So with a conventional petition, well, site plan, if I remember correctly, the property on Gesco was a conditional rezoning. That would seemingly make that unlikely unless they went through a subsequent rezoning on that basis.
Anybody else got any additional questions? I'm excited. I think this is the first IMU that we've had. So if not, do I have a motion on the disposition of item number 8?
So Clayton, Commissioner Feely, having reviewed the petition and considering the consistency statement prepared by staff to approve this petition, I move that we recommend the approval of petition number 2022148 as it appears before us.
And adoption of the consistency.
Oh, yes, and adoption of the consistency statement.
Second, Wilden.
It's been motioned by Sealy and seconded by Wilton. All those in favor of the petition, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Thank you very much. I'm excited. Our first IMU has gone somewhere and we got a chuckle too, so that's important. Item number 9, rezoning petition number 2022-119 by Blackburn Communities LLC. And Max, you get to make your first appearance with us tonight.
Appearance of the night.
Thanks.
2022-119 is located on the north and south side of Johnson Taylor Road, which see that. I know that taught. And south side of Robert Helms Road, east of Prosperity Church Road, and the site is approximately 9.2 acres. It's currently vacant. The site is currently zoned N1A, Neighborhood 1. The proposed zoning is UR3CD, Urban Residential Conditional. 2040 policy map recommends the Community Activity Center for this site. UR3 district is consistent with the Community Activity Center. Petition is appropriate and compatible for this location as it increases the amount of housing and a variety of housing types in the area. Proposed UR3 zoning is better aligned with the Community Activity Center than the current N1A zoning. The site is within a half-mile walk of 3 bus lines, providing transit access to Uptown, North Lake, Huntersville, and the J.W. Clay Park and Ride, where you can catch the Blue Line. Proposed, the proposal calls for the development of 285 multifamily residential units, with up to 12 of those being carriage units. It dedicates a new public street as generally depicted on the site plan. The proposal includes architectural standards such as building materials, articulation, and blank wall provisions. Provides an 8-foot sidewalk and 8-foot planting strip on all street frontages. Limits the maximum height to 70 feet. Since the public hearing, the petitioner has committed to 6% of the units being affordable and 80% AMI. There are currently no outstanding issues. Staff recommends approval of this petition. I'm happy to take any questions at this time.
Cool. Anybody have any questions or issues that they need addressed with this particular petition?
I'm sorry.
Commissioner Neely.
Just a question about the carriage units. Do we have any detail? What does that mean for this developer?
So a carriage unit is typically units above a freestanding garage structure. So you'll see them like just north of 277 on 12th Street.
I know exactly.
Alpha Mill, I think they have some care units.
Mhm. Thank you for clarifying.
Cool beans. Commissioner Lansdowne.
A quick comment on this one. I do have concerns over on-street parking, designated on-street parking on the creation of a public roadway. That causes me concerns for any particular rezoning along those lines. But the question I have is that the tree canopy preservation, there's no impact to the tree ordinance on this one?
The tree ordinance will be in effect, as far as the conditional plan is stated, it just states that they will comply with the tree ordinance. As most of our conditional plans do, it'll be handled, during the land development process.
Thanks, Max.
We do have that southern.
Oh, yes, and the southern portion of the property south of Johnson Naylor is designated as tree safe area on the plan.
Question, Max, in regard to that being tree safe, does that limit what they can do there? They've got to preserve the trees that are there, right? Okay, so they're.
Technically with tree safe, I don't believe you have to replant trees if you were to remove them, but being a conditional plan, they'll have to be in general alignment with what is shown on the site plan.
Okay.
So the buildings will be approximately where they.
Okay, is that was the space where they were gonna make the little community gathering place, so, they take out for a slide and they'll plant an extra tree. Okay. Anybody else have any questions in regard to this particular petition? Do I hear a motion in regard to the disposition of item number 9?
Rebecca, my motion is having reviewed the petition and considered the consistency statement prepared by staff to approve this petition, I move that we recommend approval of 2022-119 and the adoption of the consistency, as it appears before us, and the adoption of the consistency statement.
There's a second.
Neely, second.
All right, it's been properly motioned by Wilden and seconded by Neely. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That one again passes 7-0. On to item number 10, rezoning petition 2022-160 by Pendler Development, LLC. Joe, you're up.
Thank you. For veterans of zoning committee, this one should be familiar. Just over 24 acres located on the south side of Mount Holly Road, east of intersection with Creston Circle. The current zoning is I1, B2, and R3. It is all within the Lake Wiley protected area. Proposed zoning is R12 MFCD, Lake Wiley protected area. The 2040 policy map recommends neighborhood 1 for most of the site, manufacturing and logistics for the area in purple. And the proposal is for 288 multifamily residential dwelling units, height limited to 48 feet, committing to National Green Building Standard bronze specifications. Establish a 30-foot building and parking setback from the future right-of-way of Mount Holly Road in the existing right-of-way line of Creston Circle. Commits to a contribution of $125,000 to the City of Charlotte Affordable Housing Trust Fund as prior to the issuance of the last CO. Dedicates a significant portion of the site along Long Creek. They're shown in green to Mecklenburg County for future greenway development. Provides a 50-foot Class C buffer where adjacent to single-family zoning. Also commits to installing an ADA compliant CATS bus loading pad on Mount Holly Road. Provides a minimum of 8,000 square feet of approved open space and proposes a number of transportation improvements, including turn lanes, a 12-foot multi-use path along Mount Holly Road, and the improvement of the Crescent Circle pedestrian infrastructure.
We're done?
Nope, that's my
No.
fault, sorry.
Oh, you.
Since the public hearing, the two buildings that are fronting on Mount Holly Road, It reduced the height from 4 stories to 3 stories, which subsequently reduced the unit count from 288 to 268. Also added a note confirming that the connection to the existing sewer lines would take place prior to the dedication of that. Staff did not recommend approval of this petition in its current form. We'd like to see something that would be more consistent with neighborhood 1, but multifamily is not consistent with neighborhood 1. Also, while the petition site is in proximity to commercial retail node at Mount Holly Road, and that's Mount Holly Huntersville, there's no pedestrian infrastructure to get folks from the site to the retail area. And that's the reason you're not recommending approval. Happy to take questions.
All right, do we have any questions? I'll get Lansdale and then Seal.
Yeah, the problem for me on this one, I appreciate staff's in-depth analysis for transportation, but if we go back to the slide for the site plan, the problem for me is that I appreciate the petitioner reducing the building size on Mount Holly Road from 4 to 3 stories, but I'm just flummoxed that Creston would have a 50-foot setback and a 30-foot setback for a road that really is not going to get any smaller. So that causes me a little bit concerned. Would love to be able to see some more setback associated with Mount Holly, and that would definitely impact some parking on the site. But that's my problem with this one at this point. Thank you.
Well, my question is really just around clarity around the contribution to the Housing Trust Fund. And what are the implications of $125,000 addition? What does that get the city? Is that 1 unit? Is that half a unit? Is that a third of a unit? So I'm curious with I don't even know if I'm allowed to be asking about this. But with that juxtaposed to 288 units, I would love to know what the actual impact of that is.
It essentially would just go into their overall funding and they can disperse it for either property acquisition, assistance on improvements to existing affordable projects, new projects. So it really goes into the pot of money that they have at their disposal at that point. So we don't know exactly what it would be used for, other than just continuing to add to that pot of money that they have at their disposal.
Anybody else got any issues, questions they want to raise on this one?
One comment, similar to another one that we voted to deny. I did appreciate that the petitioner held an additional community meeting at a neighbor's request, and that there were actually more people at that meeting. But yeah, I did just want to bring that into the conversation and just say that was appreciated, that they kind of took that route as well.
And to piggyback on Commissioner Goulden's comments, there was support for this petition at the public hearing, and I did hear from that individual and another individual saying that they supported the petition this week. So I would just put that out there. As Joe mentioned, this petition has come to us a couple of times here, so we need to get along with where we're going to go. If there are no other comments, I'd like to hear a motion on the disposition of this petition.
Commissioner Seeley, having reviewed the petition, having reviewed the petition and considered the consistency statement prepared by staff to approve this petition, I move that we recommend approval of petition number 2022160 as it appears before us, and the adoption of the consistency statement.
Do I have a second?
Second, Wilden.
It's been motioned by Seeley and seconded by Wilden. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. How many ayes did we get? 4? All those opposed? We got 3 nays. This petition passes. Now, for those who nayed, we need to get your comments on the record.
I'll start. Lansdale, due to the outstanding transportation impacts to access to retail and the non-compliance, while I disagree with staff's recommendation that this is a 10-minute neighborhood, non-compliance of those goals of 10-minute neighborhoods and the setbacks associated with the building structures on Mount Holly are my reasons for opposition.
Commissioner Neely, just the accessibility of reaching those retail spaces for the housing development makes it a difficult decision for me.
And Commissioner Russell?
Commissioner Neely and Commissioner Lansdale have made my points.
All right. Thank you very much, everybody. We're on to item number 11 on our agenda tonight, and that is rezoning petition 2022-161 by the Pulte Group. And Joe, you get your exercise now.
Got them all clustered tonight. So this is approximately 29.33 acres located west of Steel Creek Road, south of Parkside Crossing Drive, and north of Settlers Trail at Fort. The current zoning is N1A, and proposed zoning is UR2 CB. The 2040 policy map recommends neighborhood 1 place type on the site. And the proposal is for a community of up to 169 single-family attached dwelling units. 105 of those would be alley loaded and 64 front loaded. 3 to 6 units would be in each building. Building height would be limited to 48 feet. So a proposed dedication of 3.5 acres along Steel Creek Road in Mecklenburg County for future park development. They're committing to the following transportation improvements: dedication of 61 feet of right-of-way from the center line of Steel Creek Road, 8-foot planting strip and 12-foot multi-use path along both Steel Creek Road and Parkside Crossing Drive, and also an internal public street network integrated with the surrounding public streets. A 35-foot setback from back of curb along internal public streets for front-loaded units, and 20-foot setback for alley-loaded units, committing to a 50-foot Class C buffer along the western property boundary, and also committing to architectural standards, including usable porches and stoops, recessed garage doors, and white wall limitations, and proposing amenity areas to include hardscape, gathering areas, and seating opportunities. Since the public hearing, we cleaned up some notes to make sure that everything referencing the proposed zoning listed as UR2 CB. And also there were some clarifications made regarding the pre-save area and the timing of dedication of the land to Mecklenburg County. Staff recommends approval and be happy to take any questions.
Do you have any questions, issues, concerns? Anybody? I will just add.
Yeah,
Commissioner Seeley?
Just the rationale behind not making the connection toward Steel Creek Road.
So I can probably go into that, but our CDOT partners are here, so I'll let them address the question.
Yeah, good evening. This is Patrick Monroe with CDOT. This project is, hopefully you guys can hear me well.
Oh, yeah.
All right, good to hear. Okay, so this project is part of an overall kind of master plan development that Pulte was working on. They did previously provide a traffic study during the earlier phases of the development that included many access points to service the development. There's a few reasons why vehicular connection may have not been warranted here or approved. One of those being that there is a future NCDOT project that's coming in pretty soon. It's going to right away in 2024 and construction hopefully in 2027. And with this being a state maintained facility, their access requirements are generally pretty stringent on what they may or may not allow. But you can see at the cul-de-sac, we did allow for a sidewalk connection to be made for pedestrians. So that's some of the rationale. Overall, they do provide good connectivity to the overall network. So there are other areas where people can ingress and egress into the site.
Thank you.
Anybody else have any comments?
Yeah, I'd just like to make a comment. I mean, I understand that there's gonna be road widening and access, but that just seems to me to be, it just doesn't make a lot of sense. Like, that should be a connection. And I understand that that's a state level decision, but, you know, the whole point of the 2040 plan and the UDO is to build a more connected city, but yet we keep adding cul-de-sacs and dead ends just for adding them and no real purpose other than just, thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Russell. And I would just add, just because I wish the park were in the middle of this project, it would make this nice, or anyway. Anybody else have any comments? Do I hear a motion about the disposition of item number 11 on our agenda?
I will lead us off. Having reviewed the petition and considered the consistency statement prepared, motion to approve, having reviewed the petition and considered the consistency statement prepared by staff to approve this petition, I move that we recommend approval of petition number 2022-161 as it appears before us, and adoption of the consistency statement as it appears before us.
Do I have a second on that motion?
Second, Neely.
Motion by Russell, seconded by Neely. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That one passes 7-0. We're up to item number 12 on our agenda tonight, and this is rezoning petition 2022-168 by Nick Armstrong. And Joe.
Yes.
You.
This is just over a half acre located on the south corner of Tuckasegee Road and Ederly Road. The current zoning is split zone is Mud O in the pink and orange shading, and N1C in the yellow. Proposed zoning is Mud O and Mud O site plan amendment. Policy map recommends neighborhood 1. And the proposal, it would allow for all uses in mud except for, I'm not going to read that long list there, but the more noxious uses and more impactful uses. We request the following optional provisions: parking and maneuvering to be allowed between the building and both streets. Development would not be required to comply with the zoning ordinance section regulating building street walls. Also, changes to existing buildings shall not increase nonconformity. Proposes to demolish a duplex constructed in 1926 and identified as historically significant by the Historic Landmarks Commission. Expands the parking area from previously approved petition to include a driveway from Enderley Road. Also would implement an 8-foot planting strip and 6-foot sidewalk along both streets. And it's getting kind of hard to see down there. Provides a 6-foot privacy fence to buffer against the residential uses. And that 2,700 square foot area in green would remain as tree shade. And on the next slide, we'll see changes after the public hearing. So that area which is mentioned is now on the right-hand side of the screen. It is proposed to be a modified Class C buffer. There'll be a fence through that site. or through that area. Also, some of the optional provisions have been clarified and from a staff perspective, kind of pulled back on a little bit, confirming that the two-story existing commercial building will remain as is essentially and not be expanded. Staff recommends approval of the petition. This is a change from the stance in the public hearing, but petition would allow expansion of the parking area in support of that business. That corner, Tuckasegee Road, which is kind of evolving right now into more of a commercial street and a little bit away from some of the residential. It seems like that might be a good place for a neighborhood center place type. And with that, you have to take any questions.
Excuse me, Commissioner Bolt.
I have lots of feels about parking lots. I live very, very close to this area. And I just think that this would just be a travesty. Just gonna put that out there. We don't need any more parking lots. And this says they aren't even gonna add electric vehicle charging into this either. And so I'm gonna be a no vote on this to deny it. Just gonna go put that one up there.
Thank you, ma'am. I told you we were having fun tonight. Commissioner Lansdale.
Yeah, just this is a corner lot. I can handle the sidewalk width because this was a road diet on Tuckasegee. But just to confirm, there is no investment in intersection improvements by the petitioner.
Travis, are you on for CDOT on this one?
Hey, this is Travis from CDOT. So the improvements at the intersection were done as part of the development that was previously approved here as far as the sidewalk and planting strip and such. You can actually see that on Streets Map, or if you go onto Google Street View, you can see the newly placed sidewalk and such. But as far as this rezoning goes, they have not committed to any additional improvements.
If we may have a follow-up for you, Travis, just as it stands now for the rest of the committee, there is no crosswalk allowing you to get it from Enderley across the street to Tuckasegee. There is no crosswalk from crossing Enderley across along Tuckasegee. Is that correct?
Correct. Currently, there isn't a stripe, if that's what you're asking me, but there is a pedestrian refuge that will allow you to get from the bus stop across Tuckasegee safely. So there's a ped refuge there, but it's not striped, if that's what you're asking.
Yes, thank you very much for that confirmation. Yeah, got to see more from the petitioners to improve transportation when we talk about these parcels. In my opinion, we've got to make that not as a burden for the redevelopment of these parcels, but as a requirement of the redevelopment of these parcels. Thank you.
So I have any other comments from the committee? Commissioner Russell.
I'll be quick on mine. I understand that we're trying to help a small business here and that we want them to be successful. I just don't know if we want them to be successful at the cost of a housing unit for more asphalt that doesn't drive any revenue, it doesn't derive any, it doesn't create any additional benefit for the city outside of the business that occupies that lot.
Commissioner Seelig.
And I just want to say, considering this as a business that sells alcohol, adding more parking instead of encouraging people to find other means of transportation seems like a misstep if we were to approve this plan. So that's my only comment.
Thank you. Are there any other comments? If not, I will call for someone to put the disposition of this one into play.
I'll gladly do it. Wilden, motion to deny, having reviewed the petition considered by the consistency statement prepared by staff to deny this petition. I move that we recommend denial of 2022-168 as it appears before us, and the adoption of the consistency statement,
which you will have to supply.
which I will supply. I don't like working.
Yeah, so we'll get to that crafted. Wilden has made a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Sealy. All those in favor of denying petition 2022-168, please say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed to the denial, please say nay. So that is 7-0 for the denial of this petition. Did I get everybody? I got everybody on that one? Okay. And now we will have to craft a consistency statement that says why we denied, which I think, Rebecca, you may have some comments.
Yes, lots. This proposes to demolish a duplex constructed in 1926 to create parking for a business selling alcoholic beverages. And there is no pedestrian safety nearby.
I would also add that it goes against the whole charm and character argument of the twenty.
Yes.
Anybody else want to add anything?
And I would just underline the fact that while you mentioned that, yes, it's demolishing a duplex, I would like to have that be that it is a net negative of 2 for housing in the city. In favor of parking.
All right. Anybody else? Joe, you got everything you need from that one?
Got it.
Thank you, everybody. We're on to item number 13 on our agenda. And that is rezoning petition 2022-183 by Blue South LLC. And John, lovely to have you here at our meeting tonight. Love the shirt.
Thank you. This is approximately 32.42 acres on the north side of Interstate 45, west of China Grove Church Road, and south of East Westinghouse Boulevard, basically southwest of the Sterling neighborhood, as you can see on the map there. The site is currently vacant, but it's zoned I-1 CD light industrial conditional. That conditional plan was never developed, and so they're proposing to rezone that to UR2 CD urban residential conditional, which would be similar to the rezonings that we've seen to the north of the site. The 2040 policy map recommends manufacturing and logistics. Again, that's just a recognition of the existing zoning on the site. But you do see that it's surrounded by neighborhood 1 to the north and east. The petition would allow up to 186 dwelling units with a mix of duplex and townhome units. Maximum building height of 40 feet. Specifies that every unit would have a garage, provides architectural standards. It does construct a network of public streets and then some internal shared driveways and alleyways to serve the individual units. And the units, all the townhome buildings would have vehicular access from the alleyway or private streets. So for the townhome units, there'd be no direct access to the provided public streets. The only ones having driveways out to public streets would be the duplex units. There's a 50-foot wide landscape buffer along the east and southeast of the property, abutting single-family homes. And then there's some connections to some existing stub streets at Oregon Way and Bourbon. And then Blue Central, which provides a way for these folks to get out to Westinghouse other than through China Grove Church Road. So majority of the traffic will probably just go north on Blue Central to get out at Westinghouse. Provides a greenway access easement to Mecklenburg County for the future Kings Branch Greenway on the western side of the site, and a central amenity area in the center of the site. since the public hearing, there's been a good bit of discussion about the amenity area. And so basically, I think I haven't got everything finalized yet, but all the details. But what I understand the direction is that the central amenity area wouldn't necessarily be open specifically or dedicated to the county for public access, and it would not be specifically open to the public. And as an alternative to that being dedicated to the county when open to the public, the petitioner will be dedicating additional green space on the western edge of the site, basically I don't have my laser pointer with me, but in the far western corner adjacent to the greenway access easement, they'll be dedicating that land area to the county as an alternative to the amenity area being open to the public. Additionally, since the public hearing, there's been some discussion about potentially changes to the plan related to, well, I guess they already addressed that. There was changes that were made to the plan related to the public street network to provide a more straightforward connection from Blue Central to Urban, and that's been addressed. So there's no outstanding issues in regard to that. We did have a couple technical revisions that the petitioner has addressed, and we are recommending approval of the petition. It is inconsistent with the 2040 policy map recommendation for manufacturing and logistics. But as you recall, looking at the policy map, that manufacturing and logistics place type is the only site in this area that's recommended for that place type. It would only have access through neighborhood streets. So we don't think that place type is really a great fit for this site. And we think that this proposal for residential use is a much better fit for that area and is consistent with other development that we've seen taking place on the western side of the Sterling neighborhood. And it provides a number of limitations in terms of dwelling unit type and density that's basically equivalent to what is already existing in the area. It would have changed the approved place type recommendation from manufacturing and logistics to the neighborhood to place type recommendation.
You got any questions on this one?
Yeah.
Commissioner Russell?
Got a couple. So, John, talk to me about the central amenity area. It was moved for what reason?
So they had to move its exact location due to the changes that they made to the public street, the Blue Central coming down.
Mm-hmm.
So in order to put that central amenity area close to the intersection of the public streets, I think it was up closer to where that like stormwater pond is. So they moved it down to where basically Blue Central ties into the extension of Urban. And the idea is for that to be kind of a end cap of amenity space to the southern end development. They've got on the northern side of the first phase, as you come into the development off of Westinghouse, there's amenity area there. So I think part of that was just to kind of have amenity areas on both ends of their development. And then also to provide public, more easily accessible with it being on public streets. They've said that, I think during the hearing, they stated that that amenity area wouldn't be fenced off, but they're not going to be able to commit to it being specifically open to the general public through a public access. So that was why they have since decided that they would dedicate land on the western side of the site to the county so that the county can make any kind of additional public benefits and amenities at the Greenway connection.
Then my second question is, we're right back again with the cul-de-sac, and we're how far away from Old Nature Sport Road? Like, what's the rationale behind that?
So there was, from the very beginning, when they first came in with this site, we've had a lot of discussions with them about connecting to, I think it's Old Nations Ford on the far west along the interstate boundary. And I think through the I-45 widening process, there was NCDOT. We reached out to NCDOT and they basically stated that Patrick, remind me, NCDOT was opposed to a connection, or they were doing something with that as part of the widening. I don't remember exactly what happened, but we talked about it, and essentially there's a lot of topo there that would make a connection pretty hard to achieve correct grades on the street.
Okay.
But we did look at that in great detail with both NCDOT and CDOT.
Good book. Commissioner Winiker.
Andy, was there any follow-up following city council's comments during the public hearing regarding additional community engagement?
Yeah, so the petitioner did reach out to, I think also the pastor and also the neighborhood organization leaders, and has been in communication with the city council, district representative, and council member Mayfield. So I don't know, if Mayfield and Councilmember Watlington are satisfied with the outcome, but he did reach out and has had additional discussions with them.
And one other question, there appear to be outstanding issues with CDOT, and I was just curious if there were any updates from CDOT on that.
I think those have been addressed, but I'll defer to CDOT.
Paragraph number 14, also the questions about the 6-foot sidewalks.
Yeah, this is Patrick Monroe with CDOT. We do have a couple outstanding requests with this petition. And again, those are requests, the 6-foot sidewalk currently under the previous ordinance that does allow for 5-foot sidewalks on the local streets, which is what is being provided here, which is the minimum ordinance requirement. CDOT did make a request for wider sidewalks, and doesn't seem like that was moving forward, although that would be a question for the petitioner. Outstanding comment 14 is just some of our standard rezoning notes that we need to see included. So very, very minor comments left remaining on CDOT's end that I would think would get wrapped up.
Good.
I do see, we did get a last minute emailed site plan. I hadn't really had a chance to look at it at all. I do see on the cross section for the residential median street, I do see where they struck out the sidewalk widths of 5 and 7 and changed it to be 6 and 8. I don't know if that addresses CDOT's comment on that, but I think it might.
I guess the one other question was, there was this request for comprehensive transportation review. What is that?
So that is under the new UDO ordinance. It's the best way I could say it easily, what we used to do is look at traffic impact studies, which just considered cars. The comprehensive transportation review takes a good look at all transportation aspects, including vehicles and those multimodal improvements that are becoming more and more important to the overall area.
It would be my opinion that this petition is premature. I would vote no.
Okay. All right. Anybody else got any questions, comments? I will sneak a couple in here myself. John, how far is this from the light rail station at 485? And is it pedestrian? It's pedestrian walkable from the bottom part of this. I drove out in the car, so I don't, I'm the Antichrist, so I don't know. It's a persona.
So if you go back, we can go back to the aerial. So yeah, so to get to the I-45 station, you would come down, come down Irwin Lane.
Mm-hmm.
And then make a right on China Grove Church Road, go over to the school, and you can kind of see it right above where it says Blue South and Steak and Shake. There's a sidewalk that runs along to the south side of the school, and that little gray line is the sidewalk, and then it goes down the hill, and then there's a little meandering of staircase that gets you to the platform.
In my youth, I might have been able to see that. Okay, I will take your word for it.
I don't know what the exact distance is, but it's pretty close.
Okay, all right, because I didn't hear that mentioned as we were going through this.
I think it's like an 18-minute walk, 15-minute walk.
Okay, all right, because I only see the 485 station from the other side most of the time. And one other question, John, you said something about the duplexes not having direct access, or did I pick that up in the middle of?
The duplexes have access onto the public streets. But the townhomes are all alley loaded or rear loaded.
Oh, okay, all right, I'm good now.
And it's a half-mile walk.
Thank you.
From the project boundary basically to the transit station.
Okay, so this, back when we did the TOD alignment, this could have been,
Yeah.
could have potentially been.
It could have been a site eligible for TOD.
Okay, all right. Anybody else have any questions, points?
I'll take a point on that one. For Lansdale, this area is a challenge. We don't necessarily want to stop progress in the development of this area. These alignments next to interstates are happening more and more often. But, in this area, I want this body to know that, when we looked at Sterling School Elementary, when we put in a parking deck there, we put in a requirement that there would be a green space on top of the parking deck as open field. There's so much investment in trying to make the space walkable, bikeable, active mobility, access to transit, even if it is is inside or outside the DOD. We have an opportunity to have better transportation foundation design, and I think that it is a bit premature to use Commissioner Winokur's words on this petition. Thank you.
This wasn't my mom. My apologies. Thank you, Commissioner Lansdale. Anybody else? Do I have a motion about the disposition of this particular project?
Motion to deny, I'm ready to.
Okay, Commissioner Winokur.
Having reviewed the petition and considered the consistency statement prepared by staff, well, staff didn't move to deny it, so I'm not sure what the statement is, but regardless, I move that we recommend denial of this petition number 22-183 by Blue South and adoption of a statement consistent with the comments here.
Got a motion on the floor. Is there a second?
Lansdale, second.
Getting it right. All those in favor of the denial of this petition, say aye.
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 We get 5, aye. Those opposed to the denial of this petition, say nay. Nay. So we have a 6-1, so we will now need to construct a consistency statement.
Ready.
Ready?
Ready.
Commissioner Winokur is going to say his piece.
The petition appears to be submitted prematurely. There are outstanding Department of Transportation requests that have not been fulfilled. The site seems to be inconsistent with plans for the area and does not provide adequate pedestrian and alternate transportation actions.
Anybody else want to add anything to that?
I mean, I'll say that, Commissioner Seeley, I will say that this, I do understand that this is a good step in the right directions as far as not being a manufacturing and logistics section. I do think that there needs to be more of a close consideration to transportation. It is possible. And also it would be nice for that central green area to be better thought out as well. So, yeah.
And I guess as the lone opposition to the denial, I will simply say that I believe that as has been said earlier, housing is necessary. It's gonna be hard for us to get any closer to this transit stop than this. And so I'm willing to be okay with that and let this particular petition go forward, because it does put a lot of people basically, almost literally, right on top of a safety. So enough said about that. Everybody good? All right. We're going on to item number 14 on the back of the page that I'm turning. Item number 14 on our agenda is 2022-199 by Mission Properties. And Michael, it's been so long, we've missed you.
Good to be back. So this is approximately 19.91 acres located on the southeast side of North Tryon Street, east of Pavilion Street. The current zoning is N1A. The proposed zoning is R12 MFCD, which is multifamily residential conditional. The adopted place type from the 2040 policy map recommends neighborhood 1. In this proposal, they allow up to 200 multifamily dwelling units. They do limit the height to 40 feet. They're committing to streetscape improvements along North Tryon Street to include a 12-foot multi-use path and an 8-foot planting strip. They're providing a 50-foot Class C buffer adjacent to those single-family properties. And they do propose a minimum of 12,000 square feet of amenitized areas and or open space. No changes since the public hearing. It is inconsistent with the 2040 policy map recommendations of the neighborhood 1 place type. But staff does recommend approval of this petition. Anybody just take any questions?
Thank you, Michael. Does anybody have any questions, comments on this particular? I will stick out there. Michael, we have approved, I feel like several. On the little map, it only shows one that's like a 2022.
Right.
And unless 2021 48 came this year, I just, we've approved several in that particular area, right? Right. Okay, all right. Anybody? Nothing?
The ETJ?
Part of it is, yes.
Okay. And there was no comment. Thank you for Clayton for that, because I was going to ask about the annexation. Yeah. Is there an annexation adventure going on up there as well? We don't know. Okay. All right. That's fine. You know, I'm alone in my house in the afternoon. Things pop in my head. If there are no questions from the committee, Commissioner Lansdale.
Again, I just want to be consistent in my commentary on public streets and the designation of on-street parking on public streets, especially when this one turns directly onto US 29. So, thank you.
All right. Do I hear a motion on the disposition of item number 14 on our agenda?
Neely, to approve, having reviewed the petition and considered the consistency statement prepared by staff to approve this petition, I move that we recommend approval of petition number 2022-199 and the adoption of the consistency statement.
Second, Seeley.
Moved by Neely, seconded by Seeley. Yeah. Anyway, all those in favor of the motion, say aye. Aye. Anyone opposed? That passes 7-0. We're on to item number 15. Rezoning petition number 2022-200 by IPP2 CCP LLC.
I think we're missing some letters.
That's a tongue twister.
Yeah, that was the little robot in Star Wars. And again, Mr. Russell, you will grace us with your knowledge.
So this one is approximately 12.4 acres located on the west side of IBM Drive, south of Balcom Road and north of University City Boulevard. The current zoning is RA-MFCD. The proposed zoning is UR2 CD, urban residential conditional. The adopted place type from the 2040 policy map calls for a neighborhood 1. In the proposal, they allow up to 200 multifamily dwelling units in 2 buildings. They do limit the height to 65 feet. They're committing to an 8-foot planting strip and 12-foot multi-use path along IBM Drive, and an 8-foot planting strip and 8-foot sidewalk along Catalyst Boulevard. They do commit to installing a CATS bus waiting pad on the site's frontage along IBM Drive. They provide a minimum of 30,000 square feet of outdoor amenity areas located throughout the site. And they provide an enhanced vegetated landscape area with a minimum of 10 feet along the property edge. They're providing a 20-foot wide easement between the Catalyst Boulevard multi-use path and the Mecklenburg County property for future trails. They're providing architectural standards, including building materials. No changes since the public hearing. The petition is inconsistent with the 2040 policy map. Recommendation for neighborhood 1. And staff does recommend approval of this petition. The outstanding issues, spoke with the petitioner today and they've agreed to it, and we'll fix that on their next site submittal.
All right.
Questions?
Anybody got any questions on this one? I will stick my foot in the water on this one. There were 0 people that attended the community meeting. And I think that possibly because this is right across from a not community, we got the turnout that we got. I had a question. I know we have to send, the petitioner has to send notices to everyone within 300 feet. Is there, when we come into situations like this, is there anything that we can do to perhaps extend that, or is that legal? Is it the right thing to do? And Dave, I'm looking at you, so you know,
It's
just
that distance is set by council, so we can't.
you can't change it.
Yeah. So if we see a petition that didn't get a lot, we do encourage them to hold a second one. I do know they had a lot of feedback on the initial petition on this property a year or so ago that was approved. That was 2020. So and they maintained a lot of the commitments that they did for buffering and separation from that neighborhood off of Ridge Lane from those initial community meetings. So I think they either didn't have the same turnout or caught folks at a bad time. But I know that they, from the previous petition, took a lot of the comments and kept them fairly the same. Essentially, the change is they have more developable area than they initially anticipated. So they're, of course, going to look to take an opportunity to add units, but that was all done, like I said, in conjunction with comments they already received from the old community meeting about separation of uses. And I think that's where, we still felt like that was, reasonable that they maintained all that from.
Okay, all right. Again, just sometimes when I see the ones and I notice that there were 0 people, it's like, sometimes it's in a very residential neighborhood and you're saying, hey, community just wasn't involved. This one with basically a large swath of businesses and commercial, whatever, industrial across the street. Just wondered. Anybody else have any questions about item number 15 on our agenda?
Yes.
Yes, ma'am?
There's a lot of parking. Just gonna throw that out there. And there's also quite a large parking lot across the street. Just saying that I'm not a fan of that. Thanks.
I think we hear you. Anybody else got anything in there? Otherwise, can I hear a motion about the disposition of item number 15 on our agenda?
Commissioner Seeley, having reviewed the petition and considered the consistency statement prepared by staff to approve this petition, I move that we recommend the approval of petition 2022-200, and the adoption of the consistency statement. That's presented.
We've got a second on the floor from Commissioner Seeley. Do I hear, or we've got a motion on the floor from from Commissioner Seeley. Do I hear a second?
Neely second.
Again, the Seeley-Mealy combo gives us a very consistent. Yeah, you guys are gonna be on TV. All those in favor of, the said motion, please say aye. Aye. Those opposed? Got two hands, so we got a 5-2. Is that? Okay.
Yeah.
All right. It's just checking. Sometimes I have a half a hand too, you know? All right, so that's 5-2. This motion passes, and I've got a minority statement from either Winokur or Lansdale.
I'll be happy to do it.
Go for it.
Consistent with the comments made by, during the hearing for city council, there are a number of challenges for the people who would reside in this community to reach stores right across the street, Beattysport Road and Sunset Road. It's a transportation nightmare and absent additional pedestrian and alternate.
I think you're on the wrong
I'm on the wrong one.
You've jumped ahead.
You're on the next one.
I apologize.
It's okay.
I apologize. I apologize.
I remember our
take that
first
back,
connection.
and I also take back my vote on this.
Okay, all right, so our vote, I think we can still take that back. Our vote is still, is 6-1.
Thank you.
Some parliamentarian out there, please stop me if I'm saying something.
Thank you. I apologize.
Okay, so Mr. Lansdale, this leaves you as to provide some additional information.
Yeah, so my concerns with this one are the outstanding issues with transportation access across IBM Drive and the number of storage of vehicles on this property. Those are my outstanding transportation issues for this.
All right. You're ready for the next one though, aren't you? I'm excited.
No.
I'm excited. I wonder what he's gonna say. We're up to item number 16 now, rezoning petition number 2022-204 by J. Jeet LLC. And Max,
Yes.
your turn to party again.
Petition 2022-204 is located on the south side of Sunset Road, west of Beattysport Road, and east of Peachtree Road. The site is approximately 5.19 acres in size and is currently vacant. The site is currently zoned N1B, Neighborhood 1. The proposed zoning is MUD CD, Mixed Use Development District Conditional. The 2040 policy map recommends the Neighborhood 1 place type for the site. MUD District is inconsistent with the Neighborhood 1 place type. However, the petition is appropriate and compatible with this location as it increases the variety and type of housing in the area while creating opportunities for neighborhood scale services. The site is directly abutting the neighborhood center, manufacturing and logistics place types, and is adjacent to neighborhood 2 place types. The site is located within a 10-minute walk of employment opportunities, 2 grocery stores, pharmacies, and daycare, institutional organizations, and a variety of retail and restaurant uses. The site is within a quarter-mile bus stops providing access to North Lake, the Rosa Parks Community Transportation Center, and Uptown. Proposal calls for 28,400 square feet of non-residential uses, up to 24 single-family attached townhomes, streetscape improvements with a 12-foot multi-use path along Sunset Road, architectural design standards for both the residential and non-residential portion of the site. There are currently no outstanding issues, and staff recommends approval of this petition.
All right. Thank you. Do we have any comments on this particular petition? All right, Commissioner Russell, we'll let him go first.
So I think this is one that, like, from a ideal standpoint, I understand you're trying to mix the uses with residential and non-residential, but I think the way it came out didn't necessarily work. Concern is essentially with the residential buildings being so far off the street and behind behind a non-residential use. then being on the backside of a quarry, but I mean, you can't help that, that's just what the property line is, but, you know, hiding those, you're hiding the residential parts of that behind the non-residential use. And I just think that the conflict of use is just will cause more problems than
Commissioner Whitaker, you may be shocked to hear, but some of my concerns include the pedestrian alternate transportation availability to residential uses, or for any use of this property, residential or commercial. And given the state of Batesford Road and Sunset Road, I echo some of the comments made during the county commission, city council hearing.
Okay. Commissioner Sealy.
So personally, I have no opposition towards having retail and residential or commercial and residential in such close proximity to each other. However, I do see issues here with the ease of ingress and egress on this property, as well as the actual ability with the Aldi next door notwithstanding, but the inability to cross the street to the Food Lion right there. I'd like to see a secondary means of ingress and egress off this site, just for ease of traffic flow, because I could see this being some sort of an issue at during the busiest parts of the day.
Cool beans. Anybody else got any comments? Commissioner Lansdale.
Gotcha, so this is long for me, this is Lansdale. So the question for staff, there is gonna be a left turn lane on Sunset Road created to enter this property, is that correct?
Yes, I believe so. CDOT could confirm. Travis, is that correct?
Yes, there'll be a left turn lane as well as a right turn lane, and I did want to point out the proximity to the signal. There, that's actually a signalized crossing close to this property. We reached out to NCDOT regarding some of the concerns that were brought up here. But I did want to point some of that out to you.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that confirmation. So we mentioned about the one driveway only. I'd like to talk a little bit more about the impact of the language associated with proximity to the quarry. We know that this partnership with the quarry is going to be around for another 20 to 30 years. We know that the quarry struggles with air quality issues associated with ingress and egress of vehicles, the mining and milling of gravel associated with the dust in that process, the particulate matter. We also know that this site and its adjacent property line is the expulsion area for the groundwater pumping for the quarry as well. This comes from my historical reference with air quality permitting that we're able to kind of talk at this level for this project. We also know that this is, the quarry has had a history throughout the years of being a bad actor until complaints were made associated with their operating procedures. Putting residential so close to the quarry and the expansion of the quarry and the use of the quarry facilities is a concern for me. The last thing I will say is that we do know that on a regular basis, as seasons change, trees have these things called leaves. And, they sometimes fall off, and it gives a direct sight for the buffers, through the buffers for the facility. And we know that this is an operational facility, potentially 24/7. I've got to say one more thing. Due to the nature of complaints associated with this permitted facility adjacent to the property line, there has been much work over the past decade to limit access of large trucks, load hauling trucks, up to 25 at times, numerous trucks per hour, ingress and egress off the site. They were trying to skirt the rules of truck routes by going in town to get to the interstate, and through complaints from local neighborhoods, they now have a requirement to exit Batesford Road North, turn left on Sunset to access the interstate. There's so much transportation issues associated with this property. for this one. As much as I want to see development for this space, as much as I want to see the opportunity for better housing and access to retail and community services, it's just a struggle to see this project come into play at this time. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Lansdale. Anyone else? I will ask a couple. Max, do you know how far it is from the units, the residential units to the actual operating quarry? Is there, that may not be available.
So like the pit itself?
The pit itself, yeah.
Yeah, I haven't looked into that.
Okay.
I can look at Google real quick.
Yeah, I mean, I can see it here. I kind of get an idea, but I just wondered if that was a known entity. And also, because I like asking two questions at once, whatever. On Sunset Road, is there a bus stop on Sunset or is there a bus stop on Beatty's?
They're on Beatty's Ford.
They're on Beatty's Ford. There is sidewalk on Sunset there though, right?
There is, yes.
Alright.
And they're putting a multi-use path across their site, so this is actually in the ETJ, so I believe the
Okay.
multi-use path would be.
Oh,
located on
that's
their
right.
property.
The quarry is in the county. Yeah, it's that funky thing.
So it looks like it's about 1,000 to 1,500 feet to the actual active quarry.
Quarry. Okay. Does it, some active discussion going on over there. When everybody's ready, we'll see if we can get a disposition on this one. Gentlemen, you good? Do I have a motion in play for item number 16? Does someone want to make a motion for this particular item?
I'd make a motion to deny.
Go ahead.
Yeah. Having reviewed the petition, considered the consistency statement prepared by staff to deny this petition, I move that we recommend denial of petition number 2022-204 and adoption of a consistency statement to be adopted.
We've got a motion on the floor. Is there a second?
Lansdale, second.
Moved properly by Winiker and seconded by Lansdale. All those in favor of the denial, please say aye. Or raise a hand so I can count hands. I will throw in unanimous on that. So we have a 7-0 for the denial of that particular petition. Do we have a consistency statement? Mr. Winiker, maybe you can talk about this.
Defer to Commissioner Lansdale if he's remotely prepared on the, because prior inaccuracies.
That's okay. We all make mistakes, and mine was far worse my first time. So let's see. So so for the reasons for denial, that we have concerns over transportation issues associated with access across Sunset Road, Beatty's Ford Road, ingress and egress to the site, the proximity to existing manufacturing parcels, notably the quarry, as a foundation for the denial.
Is that good enough for you, Max? You need anything else?
No, I can make that work.
Okay. All right, item number 17, people. We're only a couple pages away.
For the first half.
Yeah, item number 17, rezoning petition 2022-205 by D.R. Horton. And Michael, you are up.
Thank you. This is approximately 21.12 acres located along the southeast side of Mallard Creek Road, west of Penninger Circle and north of Morris Estate Drive. The current zoning is N1A, neighborhood 1, R8 MFCD. The proposed zoning is R8 MFCD and R8 MFCD SPA, which is site plan amendment, which this is what this is. The adopted place type in the 2040 policy map calls for neighborhood 2 and neighborhood 1. The site was previously approved under rezoning petition 2020-099 back in 2020. It allowed up to 130 townhome style units. There was a subsequent administrative approval issued in October of 2021 to allow modification to the site for a public street connection. So this particular site plan amendment adds up to 20 townhome style units and 4 buildings to the site that was previously approved for 96 townhome units. So now it brings it up to a site, whole site for 116 dwelling units. So the site plan amendment does not propose any new roads. All roads depicted have been permitted. The proposed townhomes will be the same size, style, and design as the previously permitted buildings. So it just got some new acreage. That's what has happened. So no changes since the public hearing. This is actually consistent with the 2040 policy plan recommendation for the neighborhood. The place type for the majority of the site, but slightly inconsistent with the recommendation for the neighborhood 1 place type for the smaller portion of the site. So there are no outstanding issues, and staff does recommend approval of this petition. Glad to take any questions.
Thank you, Michael. Anybody got any issues, questions, things they want to ask? I got Commissioner Russell's got his hand up.
All right, so the addition here does not include that, what looks like it could have been a secondary outlet onto Mallard Creek Road that was a part of the 2020-099? Okay, so is there any reason why that road did not connect to Mallard Creek Road and give it a secondary, another outlet?
I'll let Travis and CDOT.
You're asking why the road didn't connect at that location?
Yes.
When looking back at the original plans, they didn't, the original ones that were approved, they didn't have a access point in that location. So they just didn't change it in this plan.
Okay, and then there will be a connection to Penninger Circle that will be extended. Where that red arrow is that tying into the existing Penninger Circle?
Yes, that all the roadways have already been approved and permitted.
Okay, thank you.
Anyone else got a question, issue? If not, do I hear a motion on petition 2022-205?
Motion to approve Wilden, having reviewed the petition and considered the consistency statement prepared by staff to approve this petition, I move that we recommend approval of 2022-205 as it appears before us and the adoption of the consistency statement.
Do I hear a second?
Neely, second.
Wilden and Neely is the partnership this time. We've properly moved and seconded. All those in favor of the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? That passes 7-0. We are off and running to item number 18, petition 2022-207 by SLC Development, LLC. And Emma, it is your turn to join the party tonight.
Hello, thank you. So this site is approximately 0.17 acres located on the south side of East Tremont Avenue, southeast of South Boulevard, and west of East Worthington Avenue. The current zoning is TOD-MO, Transit-Oriented Development Mixed Use Optional, and the proposed zoning is TOD-UC, Transit-Oriented Development Urban Center. The 2040 policy map calls for a regional activity center for this area. Staff recommends approval of this petition. The petition is consistent with the 2040 policy map recommendation for regional activity center. I will take any questions from the zoning committee.
Anybody got any questions on this one? If not, do I hear a motion?
Commissioner Russell, motion to approve, having reviewed the petition and considered the consistency statement prepared by staff to approve this petition. I move that we recommend approval of petition number 2022-207 as it appears before us and the adoption of the consistency statement as it appears before us.
Do I have a second?
Second, Wilden.
Properly moved by Russell, seconded by Wilden. All those in favor of the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? None. That one passes 7-0. We're off to item number 19, rezoning petition number 2022-208 by Summit Avenue Keswick LLC. And Lee, we haven't heard from you.
So this site is a little over 7.5 acres, located on the west side of North Tryon Street, east side of Keswick Avenue, south of West 24th Street. I'll also take a moment just to point out that this corridor being along North Tryon Street, this is part of the North Grand Street, North Tryon Street corridors of opportunity. So just keep that in mind as we talk about this further. The existing zoning is ML2 and I2 conditional, so that's manufacturing and logistics 2 and general industrial conditional. And they are proposing to go to IMU, innovation mixed use, and that is in alignment with the recommended policy map place type of IMU as well. And generally, this place type aligns with the corridors of opportunity goals stated, especially with this being a proposal to IMU. It would shift away the entitlements from industrial to uses that could potentially support the goals that we see outlined in that corridors of opportunity playbook. If you've had a chance to look at it, it's really interesting, the community engagement that they got there. So being that it is consistent and it's a conventional petition with no associated site plan, there are no outstanding issues, and I'd be happy to take any questions.
Mr. Seeley.
I'd rather make a statement than give a question. I do want to say that the building in question on this property was renovated for this type of use 3 years ago. It's been vacant, but that's an aside. I just want to say that I would like to see transportation calming things happen in this area. This is an area that I drive through. When I drive, I usually take the train. But people speed here so badly that there's currently a wall that is knocked down, and the solar panels you see in there have been ran into by cars. People drive 45, 55 miles an hour on the street instead of 35. The corridors of opportunity, what happened here to realign these roads, we need to figure out some way to do traffic calming there. I just wanted to take that opportunity to put that on the record. And other than that, no questions.
Thank you, Commissioner Seeley. Anybody else got any questions, comments? And otherwise, did I hear correctly? There's a Starbucks coming up there?
Yes.
In the two roads?
Yeah, in the triangle right there.
In the triangle?
Yep.
Okay, all right.
I like Tompkins Pipeline.
It's not even September. You cannot go
Yeah,
there.
it's just freshly August.
Rebecca, I understand.
Okay.
We are there, yes.
Okay, all right. Pumpkin spice aside, do I hear a motion for the disposition of petition number, of item number 19 on our agenda?
Commissioner Seeley, having reviewed the petition and considered the consistency statement prepared by staff to approve this position, I move that we recommend approval of petition number 2022-208 and the adoption of the consistency statement as presented.
Commissioner Russell, second.
Properly moved by Seeley and seconded by Russell. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? So that one passes 6-0. Thank you very much. We're on to petition number 2022-217 for those of you who haven't had a snack. It's the Chipotle Mexican Grill of Colorado LLC. And Holly, we get to hear from you again.
Thank you. This site's a little under an acre in the northwest quadrant of the intersection of Park Road and East Woodlawn Road. Has close proximity to the Park Road Shopping Center. I'm sure many or most of you are pretty familiar with this area. The current zoning is B1 conditional, and that was to allow for a gas station and convenience store that has since been demolished. And the proposed zoning is to go to must conditional, mixed use development district conditional. The place type for this site is community activity center, and the proposal itself is in alignment with that community activity center place type, and I will tell you why under the proposal details. So this proposal is for up to 3,000 square feet of retail, EDEE, and commercial uses, and as permitted in the MUD district, and it prohibits some of those uses that we wouldn't like to see in the community activity center place type that are more car centric generally, such as car washes, drive-throughs, gas stations, and auto service stations, among a couple others. It does provide a couple of transportation provisions to improve the existing streetscape, such as there will be 2 access points that are right in, right out off East Woodlawn Road and Park Road. They will have a 6-foot sidewalk and 8-foot planting strip along Park Road, and an 8-foot sidewalk and 8-foot planting strip along East Woodlawn Road. And it commits to construct ADA compliant curb ramps and relocate the existing pedestrian signals. And now I'll point out, since the public hearing, they have had one change to the last transportation provision listed here, and that is that the petitioner will now commit to construct the bicycle facilities along both those street frontages, as opposed to simply reserving the space for those future bike facilities. So staff does recommend approval of this petition. It is consistent with that place type, as I mentioned, and it prohibits those more noxious uses that we wouldn't like to see in the community activity center place type. There is just one very minor technical revision that they will have updated in the next site plan, just as it relates to some language on the bike facility provision. And there's also a CDOT request that is still listed as a transportation comment in the CDOT memo that the petitioner team and CDOT have actively been conversing on. And with that, I'll take any questions.
Do we have any questions, comments?
Yes.
Commissioner Wilden?
Goodbye, Exxon. Hello, burritos. I love this one. This is how you do fast casual, fast food without drive-throughs. Love to see it. Yes, this is incredibly exciting, and this area needs something like this. Especially if it has burritos.
All about the burritos. Anyone else have any comments, though? Those were exuberant comments, so it would be hard to top. Anybody else have any comments?
I will say, this is Lance, I will say one thing. We've looked at a lot of corner lots today.
Yes.
And we've seen a wide range of how we've approached our view of redevelopment of corner lots. And I just want to say that we've had a lot of spectrum today, and we appreciate this effort.
All right. With that, if there are no other comments, do I hear a motion for the disposition of item number 20 on our agenda? Oh.
Wilden recommends to approve. Having reviewed the petition and considered the consistency statement prepared by staff to approve this petition, I move that we recommend approval of petition number 2022-212 as it appears before us, and the adoption of the consistency statement.
Is there a second?
Second, Neely.
Properly moved by Wilden, seconded by Neely. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? It's a 7-0. Everybody's in favor of that one. We're on to item number 21, rezoning petition number 2022-217 by Mecklenburg County. Joe, please tell us all.
This is approximately 9.2 acres located north of Reno Avenue, west of the Brookshire Freeway, and east of Venice Knightsway. It's currently zoned ML2, and the proposed zoning is IC2. 2040 policy map recommends innovation mixed use. Staff recommends approval.
Happy to answer questions.
All right, anybody got any questions about this one besides what's an IC2? Thank you for everyone who organized the UDO site for me to things out today. Any questions? Do I hear a motion about petition item number 21?
Motion to approve, having reviewed the petition and considered the consistency statement prepared by staff to approve this petition, I move that we recommend approval of petition number 2022-217 as it appears before us in the adoption of the consistency statement.
It's been motioned. Is there a second?
Second.
We got properly motioned by Wilden, seconded by Russell. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? 7-0 in favor of that petition. And finally, our last petition of the evening, rezoning petition number 2022222 by Pearl Properties LLC.
It's a law firm.
Yeah, they were the robot in Star Wars. No, I'm sorry, that's in Star Wars.
That's a number for guidance.
Sealy and Neely, you're. Yeah, they'll have that law firm commercial where they've all got like 999, whatever. All right, this is our final petition, and Claire is not here, but I suspect Claire has a mustache and a beard.
The role of Claire will be played by, it's like so popular. When they changed, it was always my favorite thing as a kid. It's like, who's this person? Okay, 2022-222, it's 0.37 acres on the east side of Parsons Street, west of Union, north of Parkwood. It is currently zoned N1C. The proposed zoning is to take that just up one category to N1D. That is consistent with policy map, which recommends neighborhood 1 in this location. It's a conventional petition, so no outstanding issues, no site plan, consistent with the policy map. Staff recommends approval, and we will take any questions you might have.
Committee, do we have any questions? I have a question, and perhaps if you have some insight on this. I appreciate getting to learn the difference between an N1C and an N1D today. And I wondered, why was this necessary? Do you have any insight in that?
Probably lot size and width.
Okay, because it was.
Lot size is 6,000,
Next,
N1C with 50-foot width, N1D gets you 3,540 feet in width. So smaller width, a little bit smaller lot. So you're taking advantage of that change from N1C to N1D, but
Okay.
not enough for us to have significant concerns over. If we were looking at something like an N1F, which allows townhomes and some other things, might give us a little bit more pause, but just.
But they could squeeze 2 on here perhaps, and nobody would have an issue, right?
Yeah, I mean, right now, I think width wise, it's about, let me see if I can measure real quick. Just to get an idea of what that measurement is.
Because when I thought when I looked at the policy or I can't remember if it's policy map or Polaris, there was like N1D immediately adjacent to this, and this parcel was N1C. And I may.
So there's some N1D a little bit further up the road.
Yeah,
There's
okay.
a similar rezoning, that one went to R8 conventionally. So it's about 91 feet in width, so under N1C, you really wouldn't get 2 lots out of it because they have to be 50. So.
Okay.
40, so you can get 42.
Okay. All right. I mean, I think that, again, with UDO coming in, we are in the situation where we get to learn some more of these details that are going to come up. And I would just say to the commission, sometimes these things, you wonder why, and this appears to be the reason why. Yeah. Okay. Thank you for the insight, Dave. Anybody else have any questions? Otherwise, do I have a motion for the disposition of item number 22 on our agenda?
Commissioner Seeley, having reviewed the petition and considered the consistency statement prepared by staff to approve this petition, I move that we recommend the approval of petition number 2022-222. as present, or, and the adoption of the consistency statement.
Second, Weldon.
Oh, no.
Okay, fine, you can have it. Oh. I'm so sorry.
No, not necessary.
Well, we've got a properly moved by Sealy and seconded by Wilden. Let us take a vote on this. All those in favor of this motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? 7-0 again. That brings us to the end of this evening's fun adventure. I'd like to publicly thank all of our brand new commissioners. Thank you very much for the diligence that you all displayed here, and I am excited to have you all join this party for the rest of the year. I bragged on last year's committee as being wonderful, and I think that we are not having a dip in quality, except for Rick, at all. Is there a motion for us to adjourn this property?
We didn't.